So Ari just told me he loves spinning.
I want this in my
which is
bedroom. I
funny.
want this in the.
So I'm just gonna change my shoes for this interview, if you don't mind.
Do it.
I think these are more appropriate
Okay.
for you.
Oh, I love that.
I know. I figure, screw you. I'm just gonna put them right here. Actually, leave my shoes on. They make me think of you every time.
That's sweet.
So the reason he's not here, he wasn't here yesterday, is because he bought something for $1.2 billion.
Yeah.
So why don't you talk about that first, open bet.
Okay.
What's the thinking behind it?
Well, we're in the sports business. We are in the gaming business, in the data and the video feeds to the 470 bookies around the globe. It was inside one of our verticals, which was events and experiences.
Right.
And we really weren't getting credit. We represent 150 sports. We own some sports that have gaming around them. It's an area that is growing significantly around the globe. And we have big competitors in that space. We've always said in our strategy in M&A that we would build moats around our business. This became available because of when they bought Scientific Games off of Mr. Perlman, they had to reduce some of the debt. And it just filled all the verticals that we needed, having a complete stack in this space, whether that be players, whether that be all the different things that you need in that when you go out to the bookies around the globe. And so it was a perfect fit with us. It puts us at the head of the line in that space. The businesses in 2025, I think they estimate the gaming business on a global basis to be $77 billion. The United States will be a 25% CAGR of that. The globe is about 13. And we then took that out of events and experiences. We made a new vertical, because the other thing we said to the street is that we're going to give clarity and more insight into our different businesses.
Right.
And this does that.
Okay, that begs the question what you didn't buy, because another deal went down this week.
Right.
Two agencies, CAA and IMG, merged.
Right.
Or bought. Why didn't you buy them? One of them. I heard there was a rumor. But did you look at them?
Well, I would say the following.
Okay.
In 2008, I didn't spend any money on merging with William Morris. I'm not sure what CAA paid for ICM. And if you really, first of all, they compete with William Morris Endeavor. ICM there was really probably 2.5 agencies of size, CAA, us, and UTA kind of half. ICM has not been what it used to be back 15 years ago. When Suhail Rizvi bought it, we were looking at it when we were looking at William Morris.
Right.
He took all the value out when he took all the packaging economics out of the business. At the time, actually, CAA said, we're going to grow organically. I appreciate them validating my strategy in 08. Yeah. And past 08, between Mike Berkowitz, James Dixon, the Harry Walker Agency, Artist Voice out of Australia, and in the last 6 months, we brought over about 20 agents. We have continued to grow our representation business to stay number one, because our thesis was distribution was changing and expanding, and you needed to be in more verticals to also help your clients grow their businesses, and that's what we've done.
So
they're just coming at it 13 years late.
Okay, but what did they buy, and did you look at it?
No. I think what they bought was 5, and maybe more, I just know the 5 incredible TV writers. They bought a operating pretty good music business, kind of not high profile names, but working. They bought a very good book business, and they bought a soccer representation business out of Europe. Mazel tov.
Okay, but one of the things they said was essentially talent first, talent first, talent first. And I think one of the questions many people asked me to ask you was, what does professional bull riding have have to do with Brad Pitt.
Well, let me just say the following. I would say the reverse. I have been talent first since '08 and growing different businesses for talent to expand in. So if Mark Wahlberg or Dwayne Johnson wants to do speaking, wants to do a licensing business, if Michael B. Jordan wants to start an advertising agency, which he did, and we did with him, with our company 160over90, we have grown our clients' businesses throughout our platform. And made sure that they get opportunities across it. So if Dwayne Johnson wants to do a live events, that's what we do. If he wants to do TV shows, we gave him help when he wanted to buy XFL. That's how we grow our business. And we grow that because we have enough tentacles. What you're asking a question is, what are some of the other owned assets that we have too? Well, when you're doing business with CBS, with something that you own, and then you go into a negotiation with a client, that you have so much business with that company, it gives you leverage, as opposed to
So if you have UFC.
as opposed to not having leverage and therefore suing. You negotiate deals and you make your clients a lot of money. I guess there's two different approaches. Why clients hire agents is to make deals and make them a lot of money and create opportunity for them. And certain people decide that they just want to sue people, and that's how they do it. I'm not sure that's the job they were hired for, but it is what it is.
So when you think about the agency business and how it's changed, would you look at something like UTA?
No.
Why?
We don't.
You don't need it.
We don't need it.
You don't need it
No.
just to grow that way.
No.
So when,
And I'll tell you the other thing. I think back in '08, when we were starting looking at the world differently, seeing where the world was going, starting with expanding our business with William Morrison, strengthening our platform, and then how we wanted to, and then adding Silver Lake, and then going after things, and understanding that you want to be not only in the representation business, but the ownership business. We have continued, as I said, growing the representation business in a significant way. It's not like we stood still. We don't stand still, as indicated by yesterday. So I would say to you, we're the largest agency. We feel very good about what we do for a living in that business. I think we're the best representatives in the business. And we're growing businesses where other parts of the entertainment ecosystem is growing, as you saw yesterday.
but your business is UFC now. It's not representation.
I would say to you is our representation business for the last 10 or 11 years, take 2020 out,
Right.
has grown double digits every year for 10 years. It is a very significant part of our business. And it is the core feeder for how our business grows, and we pay a great deal of attention to it. Also, the business is, which gives us leverage at Disney and other places, the UFC, at CBS, it's bull riding. On Location is an experience business that gives us, across the globe where we see the experience economy going. And now gaming, which is a global business, as I said, the economics. So we're in where the landscape of entertainment is, and the original premise was content and gaming content, movies and television, and people that create content on TikTok. We're in every aspect of the entertainment ecosystem.
So what does the modern agent look like then in terms of that?
Well, one of our businesses being an agent, I mean, our agents realize that you have to understand multiple ends of where the environment of entertainment is going. So because clients demand in the representation of actors, writers, directors, DPs, they demand more services. And so if we're in the photography business, we're in the modeling business, we're in the makeup, they also want licensing for their products. They want to own brands, not only do endorsements. Our agents understand now the whole landscape of what a client wants, and we have provided services throughout our business for that.
That kind of begs the question of what do they need you for?
Because without us,
I'm going to point to some others, like Hello Sunshine, or what LeBron James is doing.
Well, we represent LeBron James.
Right.
Right. In certain areas of his life.
In certain areas,
right?
but the thing that everyone's looking at and thinking about buying is the thing he's doing with Maverick Carter. How do you, Don't you see
Well, I
that?
would say to you, not that we are in that deal, but Maverick Carter has called, especially when he's trying to raise money. He says we've raised a lot of money, and trying to help him with certain people that are looking at his business because we have relationships with them, and we have helped because we're good partners throughout that process.
So do you see a trend of these things happening, these individual branded multi-revenue channel companies owned by the celebrities themselves?
Well,
Whichever kind of
I would
celebrity
say
they
the
are.
following. About 2.5 years ago, we saw celebrities getting involved with brands. As we can all see, even though the advertising dollars are going up on linear channels, because where are they going to put their money that much? Brands were coming to celebrities to not only do endorsements, but also,
Which was traditional.
right, was traditional, also kind of get equity in the brands and use their social channels. And we started a business called Talent Ventures.
I remember.
And at the time, we did about 4 to 6 deals. This was about 3 years ago. I think it's now up to 45 deals, from Naomi Osaka doing sunscreen, and to Ryan Reynolds doing aviation gin, Mark Wahlberg doing a tequila. So, at the beginning, it was a lot of liquor. It's now moved from all the way into fintech to skincare. I mean, it's all over the place. One of our biggest growing areas. And one of the reasons we get this is because how many places we're in. We understand all in our marketing business. We bring all the influence of our marketing business and all of our different relationships to bear to make sure our clients get full value and full exposure.
Do you worry about a day where they don't need you?
No,
Why?
because I think we actually add value to their dreams and desires, whether that be creating a production company, whether that be producing, whether that be representing or endorsements, whether they're doing speaking, in a whole host of areas. We have expertise, and we're number one in those areas.
Sorry, I'm just,
You want some water?
sorry.
No problem.
You're doing this to me.
I screwed you up with my question when I answer right. Yeah. This interview is now over. I got some. No, go on.
Sorry.
You want to take a question from the audience?
No.
Okay.
Well, maybe, yes.
Anybody want to ask a question so she can catch her breath?
Go ahead.
In terms of disruptive technologies like Cameo and others, right, to the consumer, what do you think about that?
Listen, I think there's a certain celebrity that will do that. They're doing a lot of, I mean, he's a really smart guy out of Chicago. Again, a new form of distribution. Power of celebrity is important. It doesn't matter where you're at in that scale. And I think it's actually good. So,
Good how?
I mean, I think celebrities are being able to monetize their stature on that platform. I think that's a good thing.
All right, let's talk about your IPO.
Yes.
First failed attempt.
Yes. That's the gray hair on this side.
Okay, talk about it.
You know, I don't think about things as success or failure. I think about things as learning experiences.
Okay.
Because I've never been in a situation where something quote unquote failed and I didn't gain something for it that the next time around I did better. Not always, but I'm still curious. I keep on pushing forward. And so we got a lot of information. One is we needed all of the UFC. 2 is we needed more clarity in our verticals. There was a lot of things that we didn't have and do right. So it took...
You pulled it at the last minute, right?
It took about, we pulled it at the last minute because I think we got caught in the wake of WeWorks and some others, and I think the economy turned at the last minute. But what then we did is we worked really hard for 8 months, negotiated the rest of the UFC into the company, and clarified our verticals, listening to what the street told us. Worked very hard with the guys from Morgan Stanley that were incredible, Brian Stern and team. And I think it was successful, it has been successful. And as this last transaction, we're continuing to clarify what we do for a living to give people true insight into all the things we touch in the entertainment business.
All right, another question. So I can wrap.
Eshi, get her some coffee or some. Yeah, exactly.
Another question.
What do you make of the NFT rush? Do you think NFTs are a big move? Overhyped, underhyped?
Well, I would say the following. You know, we're going to actually, the interesting thing, going to owned assets and what our platform does for us. You know, we saw this coming about 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago. We actually, I'll just start with one. We invested in Dappler Labs back then. We made the deal actually before the NBA done. We're probably going to do our Dappler Labs launch with the UFC fourth quarter or beginning of the first quarter. We think it's going to be very successful. If what's going on with our trading cards with Panini are any indication, and the NFTs we're doing with Panini, they've been through the roof. And so we now have actually throughout our company done a significant amount of deals with tokens and NFTs. As you saw, we did crypto sponsored the UFC for $175 million. We're doing NFTs with them and other players. So we're exploring what that means. We're making significant amount of deals for clients in that space, and we used our own assets to give them insight. We're kind of experimenting on ourselves in a proper way, and then we're moving it to clients too. So it gives us a lot of kind of, and we're looking at it at all the different directions.
Okay, I think I'm back here.
Great. I missed you.
A lot of your employees were upset when you took a massive stock trove.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about that $160 million you and your partners pulled out? I get that people pull money out.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I think
with the delay, and then you went public.
Right. Well, here's what I would say. You know, everybody has throughout the time, we have set up tranches for people to take money out. I had not taken money out the company for 26 years. I went through a personal situation that I needed the money. So I didn't want to, but I also permitted other people to take money out that they got. And last time I checked, I did found the company. I did invest in the business and didn't take a salary when the company, and as people who have started companies, went through very tough times. I financed the company. I've paid people very well. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yep.
Would you have done anything different in the IPO?
In the current IPO?
Yeah.
I thought it went off pretty well.
All right. So when we're talking about you bought
Made me
something-
feel guilty that it didn't go off well.
Well, too bad.
Okay.
That's all right. You weren't WeWork at least, right?
Yeah, true.
Yeah. And now you can make a movie about them. So plans for future acquisitions? I know you just made this big bet. What areas are you super interested in?
Well, we think of M&A in two ways, as I said, and I've said several times now. One of the ways is, like when we went public, we bought in IMG Arena, which is our other gaming asset. We bought FlightScope, which is a video capturing business. And in our academy business in Florida, we bought NSCA, which is kind of like what I would say is the LinkedIn of high school sports. We always look at how we can create bigger moats around our existing businesses. And then the second tranche is, are there on locations, UFC, things that are will kind of completely transform the company and where we see the world going. So on both of them, you know me, I'm pretty curious. On both of them, we are looking at the world and seeing things that maybe other people don't see, and we will use stock and cash to do that. And
What
we'll
about growing things organically?
Well, we have. I said to you, we did Talent Ventures.
Right.
We grew
Which one's more
Endeavor
important?
Content. We've done a lot of things organically, and they've been very successful. And so we do all three. Yeah,
So of all your businesses right now, which one is most important?
I love all my children.
And I understand that, but
And I have 4.
which one is your richest child who gives you the most back?
I don't look at it that way. I mean, I truly,
really?
I don't actually. I mean, I think the company is in incredible shape. As I've said in our last earnings call, we raised our guidance, and the company is doing incredibly well. We all see, I said to somebody who was having a conversation up in Silicon Valley, what's the TAM on content? Might be infinite, right? I just went over what the TAM is on gaming. I think we have one of the only global sports in the UFC. We represent 150 sports, and the sports rights marketplace is going through the roof on a global basis. I love all my children.
All right, so none of them is particular. Let's talk about USC then.
Okay.
Very badly hit by the pandemic.
Are you talking about the UFC?
UFC, excuse me.
I only lost one fight night.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so it wasn't badly hit.
All right, so you won.
That was written correct.
All right. So, but you created Fight Island.
Yes.
You used the opportunity to create a new business.
Well, no. I mean, it's the UFC. I mean, we did what we did. Dana's one of the incredible partners. He is a driven man. He said to me, we have to figure out how to...
Explain who that is for people.
Dana White runs the UFC. And he said, we have to get to an island. We have to create a place so I can bring the European fighters in. One of our investors is Mubadala and of Abu Dhabi. They have Yas Island. We had a conversation. We created that spot. In October, we'll do our 3rd fight there. And then, actually interesting, right before the pandemic, we bought the building next to our facility in Las Vegas. And we already had built out, because if we didn't do that, we would have never been able to put on fights. We built out a whole facility there, and we own the whole area. And that permitted us to kind of have 2 locations to do fights. And we then just created a 40-page document, and we were the first sport up with bull riding that enabled the sports to go on, and a whole protocol, which took a long time and a lot of work, to how to get a sport back up and running with all the protections that you need. And we did it. I think both teams, the PBR team and the UFC team, did an incredible job, and it's an indication that we only lost one fight night during this whole time.
At the same time, your UFC president, who you just discussed, said the entire world had, quote, turned into pussies overnight, which more sounds like you, honestly.
That is so not nice.
I understand it, but you have to live with your reputation.
Okay, thank you.
I live with mine, so you're going to need to live with yours. So when he said that, what did you think about that?
I let Dana be Dana. I don't always agree with him.
Okay.
So, but Dana is a guy that makes sure that he delivers on the promise we made to ESPN, and he drove the whole organization to get up on its feet and deliver those fights. And I think at the time it was actually important, because I think the globe wanted a sport back, and he made sure that he was going to deliver it. And we all got up and kind of followed his lead.
So how has the pandemic...
One of the things, we're not going to be canceling people because of what they say during a period of time. And that was a very tough period of time. First once in a century period of time.
Okay. All right. Still was a really stupid thing to say. How has the pandemic affected business in general? When you think about it, not just that business, but the movie business. What's been the washout of it now as it moves to solution?
Well, I think, we've had a drive by Disney, now Warner's with Discovery, Peacock launching there, and Comcast launching there, Paramount launching Paramount Plus and Pluto. You saw the expansion with Netflix and everything else. I mean, again, there's been a huge amount of content because you're all sitting at home. if you're specifically, which I don't want to interpret, but I'll ask, if you're specifically talking about the movie business.
The overall entertainment, movie and television.
Okay, so if we'll just take the movie business.
Right.
I don't, people are saying the theater business is dead.
That's me.
Okay, you're wrong.
Okay.
Okay, so here's
I
my,
didn't say dead. I think it's going to be an adorable little thing.
No, so the movie business pre-pandemic was a $9+ billion business. Will it be $9+ billion? I'm not here in the predicting business. I listen to your Jeffrey Katzenberg business. There's Sony, Paramount, Warner Brothers, Comcast, and Disney. I don't believe they're giving up $9 billion. And I think there's two things we have to realize. Do you cook at home?
Yes.
And you go out for dinner?
Sure.
Okay. So that will be the movie business. And so the other thing that I think is true about the movie business, and we just saw it in the just Marvel movie that just came out, record numbers. Record.
For that movie.
Hold on.
All right.
Record numbers.
Okay.
The minute you and I are comfortable sharing an armrest, the movie business is back in full form. People want more. If On Location is an indication of people wanting to hang out with other people, experiences, the movie business, based on that movie, and those are the movies that are coming out, will be back in full life. Will there be some movies that are right for direct-to-consumer? Yeah. Will there some movies be right day and date? Yeah. Even Netflix, and I'm in the middle of it with Adam McKay's movie and Leonardo DiCaprio, Don't Look Up. There's going to be, I think it's 12 days, I'm not sure the exact, 170 theaters. They're going to the theater business. So does the window change from 45 to 25, 17? I'm not sure. I'm not going to be in the predicament. But the movie business is not going away. You and I are going to share an armchair. Never. Never. Okay? So I'll share that with you anytime.
All right.
But that's not going away. On the television side, the linear business, cable and ABC and CBS, I think it's a $150 billion ecosystem between subs and advertising. They have to have that business. I think people still get to the internet through AOL. They still use their Gmail accounts. Let's not be flyover people here. So the linear business will still exist, and the SVOD business will exist. Will it be the same that it is? No. But if you remember, there was a show that came out, the first show on Netflix came out while Game of Thrones came out. Same time. HBO had every week, and Netflix,
Arts.
right? You could have all 13 at once. Both did very, very well.
Well, one might argue that the pandemic has been the biggest experiment for the internet companies in moving people and accelerating trends that were happening. Restaurants are in trouble. Commerce is in trouble.
You're not going to
Movie
go to a restaurant
theaters.
again?
I am, but I have to say, movie theaters, not so much. My son, absolutely.
We're going to all come back here
Yeah.
in about 2 years, a year and a half, and she'll have gone to 3 movies in a movie theater.
3, probably. I wrote a column today about it in the Times.
Okay,
I'm going to go to the Bond movie.
Okay.
The 10 others I'm not.
I bet
and
you
would've.
only went to 3 when there wasn't COVID.
No, not so.
Stop.
No, not so.
You're lying.
Okay.
Okay.
So I think it's been a terrible consumer experience. They've been abusing.
Oh, I'm not saying that it
consumers for
hasn't
years.
been, but I don't believe it is going away. That was the question.
All right.
You want to now talk about moving to the experience as opposed to whether it's going to exist?
Okay.
That's
I
a
think
different
it's gonna
conversation.
Be a little like, say, Broadway theater. It's an important thing, but not the only thing that people have gotten used to
Has
streaming.
Broadway gone away?
No.
Okay. Is it
but
going
it's
away?
Smaller. It's small.
I said, is it a $9 billion business? No, it's probably a little bit less. Okay.
All right. Let's talk about streaming, though. All these companies are now calling themselves streaming companies. The Wall Street's rewarding them for this. You yourself said we're going to make a lot of money in streaming.
Well, I think the TAM on content is infinite.
All right. What happens to the ecosystem if all the economics change? And what are the economics that you're most interested in?
Here's the only thing I care about. Do my clients get to do what they want to do and get paid properly for it?
Right.
And let me just tell you something. They are in like crazy numbers right now. As I said to you, the representation business right now is growing at double digits over the last 10 years. And just remember the following. We started out with radio, you had the movie business, you had television, you had DVDs, you had cable. Technology's always come into the business, and talent has always been paid, and been paid very well. And now you have 6 behemoths, right? With some smaller players like Roku and Paramount. And they all need, which they've all said, Ted talked about the South Korean, I have a different South Korean show that I like called My Oyster, which is incredible. They all need more content, and there's a voracious appetite for more content. So from where I sit and where I sit in the ecosystem, my clients are doing really, really well and will continue to do really, really well, because when I started this business 26 years ago, there was 4 networks going to 6, 3 or 4 cable channels, and a certain amount of people creating content. That distribution model has quadrupled, and there's the same amount of people making content. The asset is the people that are making content, and they are going to get paid, and they're getting paid very, very well, and they're going to continue to get paid very, very well with all these guys trillion.
But how does the economics change? It's not back end, it's not.
No. So what you're having started with Netflix. Probably if you had a slate of movies at Warner Brothers, 10% of them would hit a back end on the movie side.
Right,
Of the business.
small amount.
Right. Now they're paying each one of those 12 movies as if they've all hit back ends. And we saw it with Warner's, as Jason was here. He paid out $200 million in back ends, right? Not every movie would have made that. So instead of making 10%, all the clients, it's at 100%. And that's through Netflix is doing that, Apple's doing that, Amazon's doing that, Disney's doing that, Warner's is doing that, and Peacock will do that. So it's it's great time.
So it's good for art.
Yeah.
So
It's good for my clients.
when you imagine consumers and what they want from entertainment, what do you think, when you look at social media or TikTok, how do you look at those tech companies now and their role? Because this is we focus a lot on tech.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at the big tech companies, Apple, I suppose Netflix is a tech company, Amazon, how do you look at them? And how does Hollywood look at them?
Well, they all have, I think Jeffrey said this appropriately when he was, when you did your podcast. Well, they all have different reasons. Amazon's trying to sell stuff with Prime. Apple's trying to sell services in the phone. Sony's a pure play. Netflix is a pure play, right?
Warner.
Right. Warner's now got multiple, but I think has a double-edged sword on the movie side. Also, Warner Brothers, if you look at Ted Lasso, is one of the biggest suppliers to the other services. And Disney has picked their 3 or 4 main, Pixar, etc., Marvel, Star Wars, and now any assets that come out of Fox. They've all picked their different how they're going to play this business. So you have to play them all differently.
Do you imagine the tech companies? I was talking to a pretty major studio executive the other day. We had dinner, and he thought.
Who
I
paid
said, what?
for dinner? And was it at a restaurant?
It was outside.
And was that a restaurant?
Yes, but it was
I guess you'll go to the movie business too. Okay.
I like restaurants better than
Okay.
movies.
Okay.
And you've lost my train of thought now.
Good.
And I've got.
What did he say? What did the tech person say?
No, that's a tech person, studio person. Is he says, I hope to hell Google buys me someday. Do you see that happening?
I don't know if the government would let that happen. I'm not sure that's going to happen. They're never going to let that happen.
He was hoping.
Well, he should stop drinking.
Okay. All right, last question. I was joking with you about, well, I can either ask you the Trump question, you represented him, or I can talk to you about the changing mores of Hollywood. You're famous, I think, largely because of that show, having a temper, but you have a temper. I just saw something in page 6 again that you were yelling at someone at a restaurant. I could care less that you're yelling at people at
I didn't
restaurants.
actually, but that's okay.
Okay, I don't care. I don't care if you did.
Okay. But I did.
Okay, okay. Have you had to change the way you behave?
I I think I've matured, but I am still very curious, very aggressive. As this last deal, I mean, it took. We did this deal, and we weren't invited in. We pushed our way in. We closed this deal in a very short order and took it away from a lot of big players. I still give a shit, and I love what I do. So that's how I operate my life. And the minute I don't, I'm not doing it anymore.
What would you do?
You know, as Jimmy Iovine said to me once, who, sold me, it would probably when you have a big tanker that's bringing over shipments of goods, it takes about 3 miles to stop. I'm not sure what I would do, but I probably want to help. One of the things that's in my head that I want to do eventually is I want to help, because I'm dyslexic. My 3 boys are dyslexic. And I don't think they've gotten the privilege of their father and my economics. There's a lot of kids in the inner city that don't have that privilege. And maybe creating a school for that, for kids, would be something I've started talking about with the people out of Yale that helped me think through my kid's situation. So that's one of the things I've been thinking about.
Okay, that's older, wealthier area, Emanuel. What about young mailroom? You and I both started in the mailroom.
Right.
As you know.
Right.
You have a more famous mailroom.
Right.
I just had the Washington Post mailroom.
Right.
What would the young Ari Emanuel do?
What would
you do
I would do what I'm doing now.
right now?
Yeah.
Agent.
Yeah. Well, I'm not an agent, but that's part of my life, actually. I do that too, but I'm not only an agent. But I would be trying to build and run this company.
So what would you call yourself now? Not an agent, what?
I don't know. I don't call my brothers or ask them what they would call me, or so. I'm an executive, also an agent. What would you call me? Don't answer that. Don't answer it.
All right, questions from the audience. Don't call him Tech King.
Definitely not.
He just called Elon Tech King, and it was not needed.
Okay. Techno King
He's
is
got-
actually
he's
his
got
name on
plenty of
filings, but anyway.
All right.
So
What's your
Ari,
name?
Daniel.
Nice to meet you.
Big fan of yours. The question is, the creator economy as a phrase, I want to know what you think of it. Where does it sort of sit in the spectrum between, I guess, diluted form of celebrity and new economic phenomenon? And how is Endeavor...
How are you defining creator economy?
Well, creator economy being anybody that has a saleable audience, essentially, across any
YouTube.
distribution platform, whether that's newsletter, TikTok, and whatever it might be. So I feel like there is this new pocket of people, and I'm close to businesses that are engaging in that, and a friend's basically building the Endeavor business of that. But I'm wondering what your thoughts are. Is it just diluted form of celebrity with better tracking, or is it buzzword of bullshit?
One of the biggest stars on TikTok is Addison Rae.
Yep.
We took her from that. We represent her, and what did we do? We moved her, and I think she had one of the most popular movies on Netflix. We take a lot of those in that creator economy, however you define it, social, digital, and whether they be books, whether they be endorsements, whether they be talent ventures, we move them across the business or late night shows. So it's actually a kind of, I think, if you see the economics around where that world is, there's huge money around that business, and that is a very good business for them. But also, what we do inside of our company is move them across the landscape of entertainment and content creation. So that's how we look at it.
Will that be a bigger business someday than being on
It's a pretty big
TikTok?
business now.
Would you ever think about running some type of creator accelerator, which is sort of morphed into your talent ventures, where you find the things that good talent...
Actually, the guy running our business, Ben Enowitz, we're starting to explore with what that looks like. We do not have that built out, going to what you said, kind of like organic growth. That would be the area that we don't have. it thought out completely, but we are definitely thinking about that and how we proceed in that area.
Didn't you have a weird little company a couple of years back that was sort of looking at that?
Yeah.
On YouTube?
Yeah. Yes.
No, he did. He was the earliest person to it. Yeah.
Hi, Ari. I'm Patrick. I got into a really, really minor dust-up on Twitter with a media critic in London who was lamenting the plethora of streaming platforms and saying that it was diminishing the artistic quality of the content. And my response to him was like, well, no, maybe, but it's also giving actors and writers and directors work. And I'm just curious which side of that you fall on.
I don't know. I think every day there's another great piece of content that I'm watching. It's My Mister. It's I'm just finishing up the Ken Burns doc.
That's good.
I watched, I know it's ours, but I watched McCartney 321. I mean, I can't keep up. So I think it's actually really, I mean, it's incredible what's going on out there right now. So I'm watching the other one I just started, which I love, is on Netflix, Traitors. I don't know if you've seen that one. So I think they're wrong. I think you're right.
Okay, right here.
Thanks, Kara. Stephen Wolf-Pereira, CEO of Encantos. I'm curious your perspective, Ari, on the kids market, given how important every single streamer needs kids to ensure both new customer acquisition as well as for retention. And just given all of the M&A that you've seen in the space, what do you think about the future for kids?
And if you add on, what do you think about Facebook pausing Instagram Kids?
We gotta have to do a whole session on that. We're gonna,
Okay.
and I'll come back to have that conversation later.
All right, okay.
I mean, I mean, whether it be Nick, whether it be Disney, I mean, it's a huge market. The licensing is enormous. So, I mean, to be candid, I'm a little disappointed in us as it relates to our book business and not being in the kids business big enough. It's one of my pet peeves that I've been
We can help you with that. You should
driving about.
have your
But I
people
think it's an incredible business. So.
And just follow up, when you talk about all the growth that you've seen, over 50% of kids in America are now diverse. So I'm curious about the maybe lack of representation or doing a better job of representation. Any thoughts on that?
No, I mean, listen, we all have to do better, right? We all have to service an audience that is more diverse. Minority, majority is going to happen. The industry has got to do better. We all said it. We as a company have got to do better. So, and we're working pretty hard to do that. And so this is not just you make a statement. You have to do a ton of work behind this. We actually just had an offsite about our diversity plan to make sure that we're continuing to push in this area. And I think not only internally, as it relates to who, our agents or executives at our company, because the only way to get there with the clients is have a diverse internal. So we're doing everything we can to kind of continue that process.
Hi, I'm Michelle Berg. Hi, Ari. Quick question around your moral obligation to represent talent. Kara didn't mention this, but you represented Trump while he was doing The Apprentice. So has your thoughts around the obligation that you have to elevate talent that maybe doesn't align with your moral, or maybe does align with your moral thoughts and thinking, has that changed?
Well, I mean, my personal opinion is at the time he wasn't who he was. I didn't agree with him then, but I do represent him. We do represent Republicans. I don't think that I don't want to be like I'm on a college campus and I'm not letting people that I don't agree with speak. When we get into that place, I think we get into some really bad territory. So if you're saying to me I can only represent Democrats that completely agree with you, you've got the wrong guy.
I'm not sure she's saying
Okay, I'm just saying. But so we have a diverse group of people that we represent. We're going to continue to do that. We're going to let people have voices. We don't have to always do. I don't agree with now with a bunch of things that Sheryl Sandberg, has done or said. So we did represent her then. Sorry, So it is what it is.
You don't represent her now, correct?
No,
Okay. Would you represent Trump again?
no.
Okay. Let's answer these last questions. People are very interested in you, Ari.
Hey, how are you? Rick Cutter, nice to meet you.
Make them quick so we can finish them.
In the
Ari.
1950s, I believe TV came into play and kind of hurt the theater business for a while. Could you envision some sort of technology innovation to try and get people back into theaters? I think it was CinemaScope or something like that with the wide screens.
What about the metaverse, too?
You know, there was on the cover of Life magazine, I think in 1970, when Gulf and Western owned Paramount, Charlie Bluehorn said they had like a string of bad movies. I think he said in the article, the movie business is over, right? I guess he was wrong then. I'm telling you, the movie business is not over. Now, we have IMAX, we have a lot of stuff happening. I guess there's going to be AR, VR. There's going to be a bunch of stuff that is going to change it. Maybe, as the other question was on NFTs, how movies get made and financed might change also. That's things that we're looking at. I think one of the biggest problems we have coming up in the movie business is how we're going to deal with China, and that conversation, which we didn't discuss, we can discuss later. But there's going to be many different ways to finance it, and probably, I'm not in that space, many different ways to broadcast or air it that will change it and make it more appealing in different ways.
Thank you.
Great. These last two.
I think he was first.
I'll go for it.
Oh, thank you. Hey, Ari, it's Alex. Quick sports question, or two questions. One, do we think, or do you think, I should ask, sports rights will continue to grow in value in terms of the major leagues? Will we continue to see it go to the right? And the second question is, will any of the major packages go to one of the big tech platforms in the next 5 years?
Well, on Thursday night it did on Amazon.
Well, that's not really a major, like a Sunday or a Monday night.
Well, I think right now you're having the NFL negotiate the Sunday ticket. I'm not sure that's going to end up, it might end up with a tech player. So I don't know if that helps you. On the first part of the question, if you saw what the La Liga and other rights went for when Paramount jumped in to buy rights, rights for sports are going up because you get subs that way. And you'll probably have the linear and the SVOD like we did and like the NFL has done and other players, the co-airings. So I believe on a global basis, sports, and if there's any indication, we represent, as I said, how many sports, 150 sports, and we have sports. Sports rights are going up. And I think they're going to go up, they're going to continue to go up just because of the nature of the beast. And I think you're now going to have a lot of the SVOD companies step in, the Amazons, the Apples, et cetera. I'm not sure about Netflix.
He said no.
I bet you he would have bought Formula One.
Yes, he liked what they were doing around it, but not bought Formula One.
So.
The content around it he liked.
Hi, Franklin Leonard. I'm curious, given the incongruity, and it's not limited to WME or Endeavor, between sort of the staff of your content business and the audience in terms of diversity, be it gender, race, or otherwise, to what extent do you believe, if at all, positively or negatively, that incongruity has affected your profitability as a content business?
I would have to look. We're pretty profitable, but that doesn't mean we're perfect, and we're definitely not.
Well, I guess the question is that if you were more diverse, do you think you would be more or less profitable in serving a more diverse audience?
I think we'd be, as I just said, you know, we're turning into a minority majority, and you have to reflect that. So I think the marketplace is going that, and if we don't adapt and change for the right reasons, not only for the financial reasons, we would be foolish.
Can I ask one quick follow-up?
Yeah.
I mean, the industry as a whole, I won't limit it to WME, is less representative of the population of the audience and has been since the advent of the film industry So the need to change theoretically was there, both for the right reasons and for profitability. It's accelerated in the last, say, decade or so. I'm just wondering how much money has been left on the table in your mind historically because of that incongruity and that gap.
I really can't tell you. I don't know. I'm
It's a
sorry.
fair answer.
All right, I have one last question. When we first met, I told you Hollywood wasn't entrepreneurial enough. Do you think it's gotten the message?
Well, when you say that and you have now...
I meant facing tech companies and their power.
Oh, you're just talking about facing tech. I would say that the entertainment business is entrepreneurial because when somebody starts a new show or a new movie, they're an entrepreneur because that takes guts to start something new. And so you now have over 900 shows and movies. And so as it relates to your definition, which is tech, have they? I don't have an answer for that. Sorry.
That's okay. I'd say you're an entrepreneur. Anyway, you thought I was going to say asshole. Which
You could say that too.
I was thinking it, it's fine. Anyway, everyone, our Emanuel.
Thank you very much.